You trying. Let's get it fixed for y'all. Get it a little lower. You get right there. And you're gonna go right there. There you go. There you go. What's going on, everybody? Live and direct, live on the set. We broadcasted live back again in these YouTube streets, TikTok blocks. Nobody take that from me. We already heard YouTube streets before, but I never heard nobody say TikTok blocks. We back. We here. We made it. Why are we here tonight? Why are we here on this lovely Tuesday evening? I think it's March 25th. We are here for only one thing. That's to provide a service, provide content, provide insight, provide information. We are here to get into some things. And as of right now, as we can see, we are discussing men. Arthur, what's going on? Men, the makings of a man. Men are always in the news for good and for bad. Men are the heroes, men are the villains. That's one of the fascinating things about men. They make up many different forces and they make up many different objectives in life. You can have a good man in your life, and that's a wonderful thing. And you can have a bad man in your life, and that could be a frightening thing. That could be a scary thing. Recently saw a video of a woman. A woman was walking down the street, and apparently, wherever it is that the woman went, thank you for everybody joining the live, this man followed her. But there was a man behind that man who noticed that, so he was following him, right? And he was recording it. So, in this one woman's life, her just everyday regular walk of life, you got a man who obviously unwanted and even unknown by her that's following her that represents a bad man. But then you had a man behind him representing the good because that man was trying to ensure that that woman be safe, that that man doesn't harm her because what he was doing, his actions were suspicious. Gloria, good to see you. Monica, good to see you. Wade, what's going on? Marie, what's going on? For those of you who don't know, I'm just saluting everybody checking in on the chat. We, like I said, we broadcast live. We walking down these YouTube streets tonight, and we also walking down these TikTok blocks. So depending on what you're on, if you're on Cast Their Crowns Inc., if you subscribe, which I don't know why you wouldn't, but if you subscribe to Cast Their Crowns Inc. on YouTube, right there, what's going on? If you subscribe, if you follow Cast Their Crowns Inc. on TikTok, what's going on? Good to see you. Appreciate all of you guys. So we talking about men. What is it about men? The makings of a man. This particular live tonight is about men. Yes, it is. Now, what if you're not a man? Does it still pertain to you? Absolutely. Because even if we were discussing women, you need to pay attention because you can't have life without women. You can't have life without men. So this pertains to us all, not just me, because I am a man. Yes, I'm a man. Yes, I am a father of sons and daughters. Yes, I am married for a long time. However, a man. What separates a boy from a man? A boy is a man in his youthful stage. A boy is someone who he was born, a baby, a boy, and as time goes on, he becomes a man. Biologically, some would say, once a boy is now able to bring forth children, biologically he's become a man. But psychologically, is he a man? Emotionally, is he a man? Right? That's what we're going to get into. Also, what actually makes a man who he is? What actually makes a man a man? Many people, I still hear it to this day. It baffles me that I still hear it. A man, hunter gatherer. Save that for the caves, man. We're not all Neanderthals. I don't know where you got this notion from that man is hunter gatherer, like we didn't know what fire was, and then all of a sudden, oh, no. Okay? Man is not hunter gatherer. That is a caveman. That is a Neanderthal approach to things. So if you've been educated by a Neanderthal, or you've opened up the book of Neanderthal, the book of caveman to read, then you'll come with that man is a hunter gatherer. If there's supermarkets, if there's Walmarts, if there's Wegmans, if there's Kroger's, if there's all of these places you can get food from, then what's the need for the hunting? So that would mean there's no need for a man. If there's Amazon, if there are these online shop places, then what are you gathering? You don't need to gather anything. You could go right to Lowe's, you can go right to Home Depot, and it's right there laid out for you. So for you to subscribe to the fact that you're just merely a hunter gatherer, what are you talking about? Am I a beaver? Like a hunter gatherer? What are you talking about? So, man, right? We talking about boys to becoming a man. So in this world, especially right now, there's a particular thing that's going on with Anthony Edwards. If y'all don't know who Anthony Edwards is, he is a phenomenal basketball player. He plays for the Minnesota Timberwolves. But he's not just in the news, he's not just on the blogs, he's not just on the topic of discussion on the lives because of his basketball talent, which he is extremely talented. He's not just there because of that. He's actually there because word around the YouTube streets and the TikTok blocks and the Instagram shaking of the hands is that this particular man wanted a woman to get an abortion. That's what they're saying, right? That's what the allegations are. And it's tripping people out. Why would it be tripping people out that he wanted a woman to get an abortion? Can anybody tell me? Can anybody share with me why is that newsworthy? Why is that? Why do people look at him now differently? I've seen some comments. I can't lie. I look at bro differently now because he wanted the woman to get an abortion. Don't you want women to get abortions? What am I missing? I would like to say that I did a video about Anthony Edwards roughly like a year ago, and it was about this very same thing. Because if you listen, and it doesn't matter if it's coming out of the mouth of men or if it's coming out of the mouth of women, thank you everybody for joining. If you listen to the conversation, people are saying that Anthony Edwards wants or wanted, allegedly, the woman to get rid of the baby. Isn't that interesting? Y'all don't find that interesting? I do. Because I thought it wasn't a baby. I thought you was telling us all this time that when a woman is pregnant, she's pregnant with a fetus. And it's not a baby. Isn't that what y'all were saying? Weren't y'all saying it's a non-sentient being? It's not alive. It's tissue. Is it? I know I wasn't the only one who heard that. Well, we were talking about women getting abortions and reproductive rights. We were talking about a woman's right to choose and to removing the pregnancy. They don't want to use the word life. They don't want to use the word baby. So why now all of a sudden with Anthony Edwards is it a baby? How? How? How is it a baby? Now, all of a sudden, when you're talking about a woman being pregnant and a man not wanting the child, it's a baby. But when the woman doesn't want the child, it's a fetus. It's a non sentient being, meaning a non living being. That's what they say. It's tissue. That's what they say. But now all of a sudden we see life. Now all of a sudden the ending of the pregnancy is something that we need to stop and wonder and say, well, is this right? Can I look at him the same because he wants to end his pregnancy? Salute to you. Can we look at Anthony Edwards the same? I'm heartbroken. Wait a minute. You don't think WNBA players get abortions? Full transparency, I'm not on the side of being in support of such acts. I'm not pro or anti. I don't subscribe to that. However, what are we saying? You want me to sing? We got somebody who wants me to sing to them on these YouTube streets. I don't sing for free. It's very expensive. And I sing for a select audience. So we'll have to set that up for another time. But we're talking about Anthony Edwards at the moment because allegedly he wanted this woman to get an abortion who was pregnant with his child. So why is it if a man wants an abortion, now all of a sudden it becomes a baby, it becomes a child. Now all of a sudden it's been brought to life. And I'm supposed to look at it the same way as how I look at you and me, like we're living beings. Question: where is this man's reproductive rights? Because last I was told, especially during this whole election cycle that just came to an end, we were fighting for reproductive rights. That's what was on the line. And I don't know how many guys here, how many ladies and gentlemen here are into biology, but if you know a thing or two, you would know that the reproductive system is both what, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? The reproductive system is both what? Male and female. You can't reproduce without the two. So if we're talking reproductive rights, we got to talk about the man's right to reproduce and the woman's right to reproduce, because they can't reproduce without one another. They need one another in order to reproduce. So if you're fighting for the right and you want to stand up and make noise for the right, if you want to spam people's inbox and spam people's lives and throw stuff at people when they're in the street talking and all this other stuff and give threats to unalive people and do all of those type of things because they want life and you're against that, then why is there a problem right now with Anthony Edwards looking for the right to exercise his right? Why should he be forced to be a father? That's what you guys say. You shouldn't be forced to be a mother. Well, you can't be a mother without somebody being a male simultaneously becoming a father. They go hand in hand. So what is the issue, ladies and gentlemen? Why is it that if a man does not want this child, that now all of a sudden it's a problem? I never heard that before. So you see, we're seeing the hypocrisy when it comes to being a man. You're seeing the lack of support, compassion when it comes to being a man. You're seeing that when men involve themselves in the same actions as others, particularly women, there will be some form of understanding or grace or provision or concessions for a woman to make the same decision as a man would make, but a woman is celebrated and fought for to make the decision, and a man is criticized and ridiculed for making the same decision as the woman. Same exact decision. There are places such as a firehouse, fire station, fire department, where if there's a mother and she has her child, and let's just say she doesn't want a child anymore for whatever the reason may be, she can surrender her child to the firehouse, no questions asked. Some places they even have like a hole in the wall, looks almost like a mailbox or a pizza oven, a brick oven, and you just open it, place the baby inside, close it, walk off. Your baby could be 2 months old, 3 months old, and they call that a compassionate abandonment. It's compassionate for that mother to abandon her child that way. I want to ask you a question. If you have a father and there's the mother, and the father goes, yo, I'm not dealing with this kid. I'm not raising no kid. I didn't want no kid. I didn't tell you to have this kid. We're not even in a relationship. I don't want to be a father. I'm leaving. And he leaves that child and he leaves the mother of that child. Now he's left the child in the care of the mother. Do you consider that an abandonment with compassion to it? Because he left the child with someone who he knows is going to love and take care of the child. Is that what you consider it? Compassionate? Or do you have terms, disparaging terms, for the man leaving his child behind? Yeah, you do. You have disparaging terms. You don't need to say it because I know it. You could only think of negative terms. You call him a deadbeat dad. You call him a loser. You'll say he's not a real man. You'll say tons of things because he left his child behind. So, why, when the mother leaves her child behind, do you say she's doing it out of love? Some people will leave their child in a grocery store, pharmacy, trash, front steps of someone else. All of these things are considered things that's good because the baby can be found. She loved her. She loved that baby enough that she left the baby somewhere where somebody can find it and take care of it. She loves her baby. Oh yeah, she loved her baby. What's going on, Patricia? She loved her baby enough to leave it behind so somebody can find it. Isn't that cruel? Isn't that inhumane? Isn't that all of the things of what you say about the father who leaves the baby behind with the mother to never return? See, both people, there's nothing good that can be said about any of them. Nothing. There's nothing good at all, right? Nothing is good at all. But again, you're seeing when it comes to a man that things will be said differently about him as opposed to being concerned with the child. So if it comes down to a woman and the actual life of the child, say that again. Bad father, no offense. What if he leaves the child behind? No, I agree. That is a bad father. You're correct. You're 100% correct. We don't sugarcoat that. Patricia said on these YouTube streets that if a father leaves his child behind, he's a bad father. So if you leave your child behind and you're a bad father, then why would you be considered a compassionate, loving mother if you left your child behind? Do you care about the child or do you care about the parent? It seems to be some form of gender identity or gender relations or something as opposed to the actual child themselves. The concern doesn't seem to be about the child. So, what does all of this have to do about the man? You have to watch your child. Yes, you do. Thank you, Patricia. Patricia said you got to watch your child. Yeah, you got to take care of your child. You got to be responsible. See, in hookup culture like what we live in today, we have a lot of babies that are born from hooking up. It wasn't the adults. I'm only speaking to adults. I'm not speaking about, minors. But if the adults consent to be with one another in an intimate way, and it's only to be with one another intimately, it's not to actually have a child or start a family, or there's no love involved. If what it is they decide to do is sleep with one another and then a child is born, who has to be responsible now? Well, let's go back before the child is born. The woman is now pregnant. So she's now an expecting mother, right? Who has to step up to be responsible regarding that child? My You guys say sorbet, sherbet, what do y'all say? But mine is melted. So who's responsible for this pregnancy once the woman becomes pregnant? Is the man responsible? Is the woman responsible? I think most people would say that it's the woman's responsibility. Both. Patricia, I wish you was on TikTok right now so I can call you up here. Patricia's killing it. Killing it. Patricia said they're both responsible. And that is the correct answer. The child, your child, both you, mom and dad, your child has nothing to do with your irresponsibilities. Your child has everything to do with your responsibility. Your child doesn't give a damn if whether or not you wanted to be or you didn't or whatever. That's not, your child isn't concerned with that. Your child soon to be born is not concerned with that. That's not how life works. Whether you plan for the child or not, that's not how it works. That's not how it goes. You have people who want children, they never have children. You have people who don't want children, they have a lot of children. Some children do not get a choice. Patricia's on it. But you know why some children don't get a choice? Because we're giving the choice to the parent when the parent already made the choice. You're giving the choice to the mom and you're saying it's her choice, it's a woman's choice, but she already made the choice. We're not talking about illegal activity here. We're not talking about criminal activity. We're talking about adults, stick with me. We're talking about adults who consented to be together intimately, and now a pregnancy has taken place. You got Dr. Umar Johnson, who said he told the mothers of his daughters that simply because pregnancy has taken place, that did not mean that I was going to be around forever. What? Pregnancy means forever. Once there's a pregnancy, you've started forever. Because a life is about to be born. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? So, nevertheless, both parents need to be responsible. So if a man says, nah, I didn't sign up for this, and that's not, you knew what it was, you knew I had a girl when we was hooking up, and you knew I wasn't for that, who the hell cares? I damn sure don't. So if this woman who did not want to have a child, she just wanted to be intimate with this man, and that's what they consented to. If she decides to say, well, hey, listen, I'm gonna have this baby, that's on you. That's not her fault. She's not doing wrong by saying, I'm gonna have this baby. She's recognizing that, especially if she's acknowledging that, hey, listen, guess what? I might have been irresponsible. I might have been careless, but now something is going on with me inside of me, meaning this pregnancy, and I need to step up and be an adult. I need to be not just a woman, I need to be a mother, because a mother is a level or an accomplishment of a woman. It is an accomplishment to enter into motherhood. It is an accomplishment to enter into fatherhood. That's a level of manhood. That's a level of womanhood that every woman, unfortunately, is not able to obtain. And I'm not talking about by choice. I'm talking about those who actually want to be mothers, but for whatever reason they can't be. They don't look at those things as far as giving birth as something. They don't take that for granted, right? They value that. You have women who've had maybe one or two children, and then their family members have spoken to them and convinced them not to have any more children. And then as they get older, they see a mother or they see a whole family with other children, more children than them, and then they start to feel bad, right? They start to feel bad because over the fact that they allowed these people to get in their ear and they didn't have any more children. So if this woman says, no, I'm going to do the right thing by my child and I'm going to raise this child, even if it's by myself, salute to her, because that's the grown up thing to do. So a man doesn't get a pass because he slid away, because he weaseled back into the streets or back into the bushes because he wasn't ready to be a father. You don't get a pass for that. You're a clown. And if you're a man, you shouldn't even associate yourself with men like that. If you're related to a man like that, you shouldn't even have any dealings with a man like that as far as making it seem like what he did was okay. Nah, it's not cool. It's not okay. It's actually bad. It's actually negative. That's actually hurtful to the community. Now, the thing is, I have to go. Will I go live tomorrow, Patricia? For you, I will. I'll look to go 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for you, Patricia, because I appreciate your support. 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Wednesday. So you can't enable a man and support a man or stand by a man because he left his child. Definitely, I appreciate you. You can't do that. That's wrong. That's wrong. Now, would you cut the man off? Mm, I don't know. He's cutting off his child, though. So if you do, it's up to you. But if you cut the man off, if you're standing on the behalf of that child, I don't see anything wrong with that. If you say, yo, the fact that you're doing that, like, I can't condone that, right? Like, you need to step up to your responsibilities. You knew she could have got pregnant when you was with her. You shouldn't have been with somebody who you don't want to have a child with. All right, I'm going to see you tomorrow then. Take care, Patricia. Appreciate you. Definitely. You know, that's not cool. You can't be leaving babies out here in the street with no man in their life. And I'm talking about a father. That's wrong. That's foul. So if she steps up to the plate and she goes, I'm going to have this child and she's going to enter into motherhood with whatever support system she has in place, that's a beautiful thing. And shame on dirty little man who she was with. But in full transparency, this is the reason why she shouldn't be with a man like that. See, now, if a woman is in a relationship already, and then the man decides to moonwalk, back step, side step, tootsie, whatever, slide and leave, that's wrong and that's misleading and that's disgusting and that's foul and that's everything negative you can think of. If a man does that, let's say he's married and he leaves his children, he leaves his wife behind because it's another child and he's not ready to take care of another child and he comes up with these lousy excuses and he goes. If he does that, see, that's a terrible thing. But if you're just sleeping around, if you're just a woman who's just running around the streets, running and ripping and getting ran through, and you just so happen to get pregnant, and when you just so happen to get pregnant, you go, you know what? I'm no longer going to be that way. Yes, it's good that you step up and you become responsible for your child, but it's a disservice to your child that that's the way of how you were acting. So now the foundation of your child is not out of love. The foundation of your child may very well be you being alone as a parent to raise your child. And you know very well that the same way how that man made a choice to go, you easily could have made that choice to go and not be a mother. See, now there's going to be a stain on that man, rightfully so. But as society has it, you could go on about it, and that man may not even know because you could just, and now that child or that fetus, whatever y'all want to call it for right now, is gone, and nobody has to say anything to you. Nobody even needs to know. Even the father of the child don't even need to know. So these are the type of things that men need to think about. Young men, older boys that's approaching that age of consent, right? Being young adults, you need to seriously think about the world and the society of which you are in. Because if you enter into these activities, these intimate activities, there's something that comes along with it. And society will celebrate and march and wear t shirts and say yeetus fetus and all of this type of stuff for a woman to bring that pregnancy to an end. But if it's a man who's looking to bring that pregnancy to an end, there's no such thing as reproductive rights when it comes to him. There's no such thing as forced fatherhood when it comes to him. None of those things apply anymore. There's no such thing about not telling someone what to do with their body. None of those things apply anymore. When it's a man, all of a sudden you care about the child. When it's a woman who doesn't want the child, you know who they care about? The woman. They don't care about the child. You only make mention of the child, and you only even call it a child when it's a man who wants the pregnancy to come to an end. And men and women say it because they're doing that about Anthony Edwards right now. The baby this and the baby that and the baby this. You don't make mention of the term baby or the word baby when it comes to a clinic. When you're talking about a clinic where they get rid of the pregnancy, you don't use the word baby. You wouldn't dare speak that word. As a matter of fact, we over here on this platform, this channel, we've gone into even how when you have a fertility clinic is basically housed by and patronized by men and women who they're having difficulties with pregnancy and or the pregnancy coming to term. So either the woman is not getting pregnant or she is getting pregnant, but she keeps losing from a miscarriage or something like that. She keeps losing the pregnancy. So she and he, notice I said and he, they go to this fertility clinic and looks and hopes to find different means and resources to help with pregnancy. But a fertility clinic is about a man and a woman who they're hoping for pregnancy, right? And a healthy one. So when you see like the pamphlets or the ads for a fertility clinic, you see the man and the woman and they're smiling. They're in the room with the doctor, right? Or whoever it is they're consulting with. But you see them there together. This is the way how things are marketed, how they're advertised in this world. How is it that for the fertility clinic, it's about the man and the woman together? But when it's a clinic where they do abortions, keep in mind this woman is already pregnant. She doesn't need the fertility clinic. She's pregnant. But the way how they advertise the abortion is what? You're not alone. But of course, she's not alone. She's pregnant. So she had to be with somebody romantically in order to become pregnant. Don't lose it now because we're talking about consensual relationships here, right? That's what we're talking about, consensual relations amongst adults. So why do they advertise the procedure of the abortion as a woman being alone? Why don't they ever show the man and the woman there together like they do with the fertility clinic? Why do they show her with her head down and she's sad? Hmm? Why is that? The fertility clinic comes about from a man and a woman. They're trying, they're unsuccessful. The abortion clinic comes about from a man and a woman. They're trying, or they've tried, and they actually were successful. So, why is it that you don't have the man's voice being spoken with the abortion, but you have only the woman? And now all of a sudden, it's a choice between the woman and her doctor. The fertility clinic is not all about the woman and her doctor. The fertility clinic, when the life is there and you're striving to have life, it's about the three of you: the mother, the father, and the doctor. What am I missing? Hmm? Why is it the fertility clinic is now a conversation about the three of us coming together? You have let's see. Let's see what the people got to say. Yes, sir. What's going on?
How are you?
I'm good. You know the topic at hand tonight?
Yes,
What do you have to
most
say?
most welcome.
Huh?
Most welcome.
I don't know what that means.
Yes, hello, South Africa, Bengal.
You in Africa right now?
You are in Pakistan.
Oh, you in Pakistan? I,
Pakistan.
I seem to be doing pretty well in Pakistan.
Okay.
I got a lot of people from Pakistan checking in. It's good to see you. I appreciate your support, all right?
Urdu?
I'm saying goodbye. I don't know how you would say it in Pakistan.
अच्छा USA.
Yeah.
उर्दू नहीं आती है उर्दू.
All right, I'll talk to you, okay?
USA.
Yes, sir. You could go.
In Pakistan.
That's right. So, back to the point. You're seeing the
Okay.
difference. You see the way things are being marketed and the way things are being expressed. But all of that is by design. All of that is to try to seduce the mind. And all of that is some form of propaganda to make a woman believe wholeheartedly, even though she's involved in intimate relationships with a man, that now that she's pregnant, she's alone. When did she become alone? She didn't become pregnant all alone. So when exactly did she become alone? Because she took a Uber there by herself? That doesn't mean she's alone. And if she's with child, she's definitely not alone. And she only became with child because she was in a relationship with a man. They engage in this activity. So why wouldn't now the conversation be amongst the woman, the man, and the medical professional? That's who it should be. Just like when you're talking about the fertility clinic. When you're talking about the fertility clinic, you're showing both man, woman, and the medical professional all in the room. It's a happy time. Don't worry, guys. We've still got time. We've got options. And guess what? This is an ancient thing. That's not a new practice. Because in times past, in the ancient world, if a woman was having difficulty becoming pregnant, what she would do is she would get a surrogate mother. If she had a handmaid or something like that, she would give her handmaid over to her husband. Her husband would lay with that woman, and then the child that the handmaid brought forth would go to the wife. Is that practice still kept in Pakistan? Don't kill my vibe, bro. Huh? Is it?
In Pakistan, Samami Arabi.
Yeah. Is it? Did you hear the question?
Arabi.
Yeah. All right. You should go. Bye bye.
Urdu.
Yeah, bye bye. Talk later, okay?
Urdu.
So, yeah, right? So that's what it should be. It should be all three of them coming together.
English.
If you're starting to get doubt, if you're starting to feel differently or funny, and you don't know what to do, what you should do is you should simply just look to say, hey, what we're going to do is we're going to provide resources for you guys. Both you. Ma'am, do you know who the let me get it. I don't got a clipboard, but I'm gonna act like something I got as a clipboard. I'm gonna act like this is a clipboard, okay? Ma'am, do you know who the father of the child is? Yes, I do. Check. Are you in good communication with the father of the child? Yes, I am. Check. Is the father of this child, is he aware of the pregnancy? Yes, he is. Check. Okay, good. Are we able to contact the father of the child? No, I'd rather contact him. Okay, check. Right? So why isn't it that part of the process? It's like, listen, come and I'll have you out before lunch. That's what it is. So this is why you see with Anthony Edwards, now all of a sudden there's a consciousness when it comes to man. Why is it that when a man gets involved in something, now all of a sudden people are thinking about what is right and what is wrong? What is morally or civilly acceptable? Because over the fact that a man wants to end the pregnancy, now you're thinking about the child and the child's life and the support you're supposed to give and all of this stuff. Really? Because again, when you have these compassionate or these abandonments of compassion, when a mother could just leave her child, even when the child is born, she can just leave her child at the fire station. She's not providing any support for that child. No child support at all. None. She's not filling out a form. Hey, this is how you find me. This is how you garnish my wages. Nothing. She's done. She is done. And typically when she's done, she's going back to the streets. She's not going back to better her life. Because the greatest forms of responsibility, you're finding ways for her to avoid it. You're finding a way out for her. But you're holding a man to the fire if he dares say, I don't want to be a father. I don't want to have this child. I didn't agree to this. This is not what we was doing, and all of that other nonsense. So what does it mean to become a man then? What is manhood all about if you yourself, as a man, an adult male, who's half 50% of procreation, if you don't even have a say? You don't even have a say in the life that you bring forth into this earth. So what makes a man a man? What's the signs and the tokens of a good father? Because you don't consider that woman a bad mother if she wants to end the pregnancy and not be around for actual being a mom. So who exactly is irresponsible? And what is society telling our sons and daughters, our boys and girls, as they enter into adulthood as far as responsibility is concerned? Because you've already set a bad precedent that you're expecting men to be responsible, and you're going to shield women from being irresponsible, and you're going to look to hold someone else accountable for their discretions. That's the precedent of what you said. Because I would imagine, and this is me, I would imagine if you took a household, a family, with father, mother, and let's say they got a couple of sons, they got a couple of daughters. And this is a good household, right? A good, wholesome household. They do good things in the society, the community of which they live, working parents, children are in school, and all of this type of stuff, right? I would think that if you looked at a household and sons were engaged in relationships where the sons were looking for the women who they were impregnating to end the pregnancy, and the daughters of that household were involved in relationships where they were continuously looking to end that pregnancy, I would think that household would be like, wait a minute, what's going on? That's not how we guard. That's not the way how we raised you guys. We raised you guys to be responsible. We didn't raise you guys to be irresponsible. We raised you guys to actually want to actually know that in life it's about responsibility. It's about duty. There's duties in life. There's a duty in marriage. There's things that you just don't go and get involved in just simply for the benefits of it, but for the actual labor that you need to put forth, the sacrifice that needs to go into it. Life isn't only about the celebration. It's actually about the time that you put in that other people are not going to be necessarily around to see. Your child won't remember all of what you did for your child when they were very young. You're not going to get an award for that. You're not even going to get a thank you for the things you did for your child. Some children are ungrateful. They may turn around and even though you've been taking care of them for the first 15 years of their life, they could turn around, look at you in the face and say, you never done nothing for me. You ain't nothing. You're the worst. You're a terrible mom. You're a horrible dad. And they'll say that to you. And you just look around like, you see that wall right there? You know why you're inside this room with that wall and that ceiling? You're not in here because of that slick, nasty mouth you got. You're in there because of the work that I and or the other parent put in. So you're not going to get an award from your children. They're not necessarily going to stop and say thank you. I'm not talking about raising ungrateful children. I'm just saying they're not always going to remember or reflect on how much you did, and they won't know about you changing their pampers. They won't know about you breastfeeding them or giving them formula or teaching them to walk. They're not going to remember that. So there are these things about life that you're never going to get a meaningful, thoughtful thank you for. But that's just part of the duty of life. So if you're a man, you need to know for a fact not only where you stand in the society of which you're in, but are you going to subject yourself to how that society looks at you as a man? Because the society, for the most part, is going to look at you as either you're solving my problem or you're causing my problem. One of the two. Either you solve my problem or you cause my problem. Cause my problem, you may not even know the person, but they'll blame you for it. And solving my problem could be a firefighter. You could be a stepdaddy. So they're going to look for you to follow the drama, to clean up the mess. But you see, the choice is yours, my friend. The choice is yours, sir. Do you live a life where you're following someone else's mess? Are you playing cleanup? Or are you trying to establish your own from the beginning? Do you look at yourself as a man? Do you look at yourself in the mirror the same way how I'm seeing myself right now? And do you hold yourself in high regard and you don't allow either those around you or the society of which you're in to tear you down? Even if you've made mistakes and wrongdoing, do you still stand with your head up high and say, no, 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 I'm not who I am from your definition? I don't live a life of where I'm waiting for you to validate me. As a matter of fact, I live a life where I set the pace of which I go and the direction of which I go, whichever it may be that God leads me. We don't deny God over here. So, because over the fact that I'm doing that as a man, I don't subscribe to the things you have to say about men. That doesn't mean anything to me. If you were with 80 guys last year and those guys did you wrong, that has nothing to do with me. Just comment and keep it moving. I'm not one of those 80 guys you was with last year. You shouldn't have been with that many guys. Of course you got a negative view on men. I mean, what the hell? You with 80 men. People who have stereotypical views of people like that when it's dealing with gender, that's because they're dealing with low quality individuals of that gender. Because if you had one girl, let's say you had one girlfriend in your life, right? And you was with her for 2 years. And this is 2 years into the relationship. 2 years have passed and y'all still together. And I talk to you about relationships. Would you really have something negative to say? Because you've been with the woman for 2 years. So how could you badmouth women seeing you've been with a woman for 2 years and you're still with her? Would you really have all negative things to say? No, doesn't make sense. You would know you had good days, you had bad days, but you would know the great things, you would know the bad things, but you would be able to give, if you were being fair, you'd be able to give a well rounded, fair assessment of relationships. You'll be able to give some quality feedback on relationships and how they work because you've been in one and you've been in one that most people would consider healthy because there's been some time to it. So even if there's been wrongdoings, you're looking to fix your wrongdoings and keep it going, keep it moving forward. So if that's what's going on, we would expect to hear good from you. But if you've been with 50 women in 2 years, and I ask you about relationships with women, what would I expect you to tell me? You haven't been in any valuable relationships with women. You've only been involved in negative relationships because even if it's just about the thrill and your lust and just feeling what it is that you want to feel and keeping it moving, you're not with high quality women and you're not a high quality man, right? So you're not looking for good in people. Neither are you trying to provide good in people's lives. So what would I expect from you other than for you to tell me something negative? So that's not what I should be looking for a man to say that that is the type of man that my daughter should be looking for, or that's the type of man that I would want my son to be like. So again, this is why men need to know where you stand, what you want in life, and what direction of which you're headed. And are you going to allow society to pigeonhole you, to pin you or back you into a corner to have you to believe that because you're a man, you're supposed to be A, B, and C? Who the hell are you? You don't even like to identify gender. So why are you telling me what a man should be? That a real man, is a man who raises someone else's child. What kind of stupidness is that? So there's no real men before you had the child by the man that wasn't a real man? I mean, were they not born? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So what's the makings of a man? What is the character? What is the buildup of a man? Back to the beginning. Is he just a Neanderthal? Is he a caveman? Is he a cave dweller? The hunter gatherer, and he's now seeing fire for the first time, and he just made the wheel. Is that what man is? No. Right? So a man is much more than that. Way much more than that. Way more responsibility than that. Because the planet Earth is named after men. It's not a gender biased thing, it's just a fact. You bear the name of a man. Your family name is that of a man. And that's around the globe. And even if you go, oh, well, I got my grandmother's name, your grandmother's got her father's name. So it's always going to go back to some man. That doesn't take away from women. Jacqueline, how you doing? That doesn't take away from women because our involvement is with one another. The whole thing is over the fact that you need one another. You just need to know where things stand and how biologically things are. You embrace those differences and you exploit those differences for better outcomes in your life with one another. Very easy. It's not really that hard. The problem is that when you don't appreciate one another, the problem is when you look to put down one another and when you look to devalue one another. How are you? You good? You good tonight? Oh, you want to play music. You know, that's the problem. The problem is when we come across stuff like that. That's the problem. When you don't appreciate, you don't know, you're misinformed, and then you allow society or people with negative views of one another to persuade you to look at one another in a negative way. And then you start to look down on a man or you start to look down on a woman and you start to misalign yourself with who and what we really and truly are and what we could be. And you start trying to redefine what it is that you are. And that doesn't mean we're limited because I said redefine. A man is not limited, a woman is not limited, right? There's many things of what it is a woman can do. There's many things of what a woman can learn to do if, let's say, by chance throughout her life she never really did it. And there's many things a man can do. And there's many things that a man can learn to do if, let's say, by chance in his life he never really learned to do it. So we're not people that are just like at a misfortune here, but there is a difference. We don't look the same. Our internal organs are not the same. Our external makeup is not the same. And we wouldn't have the bodies, both inwardly and outwardly, of what we had it not been for other men and women before us. So you can't just try to say a man is just simply that. A man is way much more, but we just live in a society where they like to downgrade men and speak ill of men and say things like, in 50,000 years, men will no longer be on the planet Earth, and, all sorts of stupidity. Those are the type of things of what it is that they say, you know? So, again, a man in the makings of a man, keep in mind that the names of which we bear, I have my father's last name. My mother has my father's last name. I was born to married parents. But prior to my mother having my father's last name, my mother had her father's last name because her mother and father were married. And her mother had her father's last name because her mother's father and mother were married. That's what happens. And if, let's say, you're not legally married, you're still going to take on the name, talking about the child, is still going to take on the name of the father of that child because that child is of that man's seed. So if I had an apple and I planted the seed in Japan, You're still going to call it an apple. If I planted the seed in the Bronx, New York, you know what you're going to call it? An apple. If I planted the seed in Timbuktu, you know what you're going to call it? An apple. That's what you're going to call it. So that's the reason why we have the names of men all throughout the entire planet Earth. That doesn't matter whether or not you like men, you like your father, you hate your father, it don't matter. The bottom line is that we all still come from that very same way. There's nothing I can do or you can do to break it, because that's the way how God intended it to be. So you're going to have to wake up and deal with the reality. So if you actually are a boy entering into manhood, or you are a man, you're going to have to look and see the value in yourself, because you can't wait for somebody else to put it there in you. There's a saying, oftentimes it's said, as a man, you have to value, you have to protect your seed. I don't like that saying, because that's too late. It's not about protecting your seed, it's about protecting yourself. If you protect yourself, everything else follows. Don't protect your seed and not protect yourself. Protect yourself. Once you protect yourself, you automatically protect your seed. But it's like they don't like to tell men things and young men things about themselves to make them have a sense of pride and dignity within themselves as they grow up and they enter into manhood. But we don't subscribe to that. So it's going to take a man to be a man, and you got to learn what that actually means to be a man. So hopefully you guys found this live to be insightful. Excuse me. Definitely appreciate all of you guys on the check-in. We had Patricia here. We had people from Pakistan. We had people coming in now. I gotta thank all you guys. Is that Tammy? I can't read your whole name. I don't want to destroy it, but I definitely know the first part is Tammy. You've been around for a minute. I appreciate you. Thank you, Tammy. We got Patricia, who asked if we'll be doing a live tomorrow, and we will, based off of the fact that Patricia was holding it down. She was there with us from the very beginning. She gave some insightful commentary in the beginning. She was there in the chat. She was definitely holding it down. And I thank all you guys. What we did was we simultaneously did a, what would you call it? A simulcast, I guess. Two casts simultaneously. On this hand, this corner, we got the TikTok blocks. And on this corner over here, we got the YouTube streets. So we definitely like to give insightful commentary. And we don't like to give the mundane, what everybody would just think to say. We like to be thought provoking. We don't care about whatever it is society has set up. We don't, I really could care less about whatever it is. We're going to tear those things down if it's in front of us. And I'm not going to answer according to that. I'm going to answer according to the truth. And I'm going to speak according to the truth. I don't really like to be opinion based. You know, that's like sports and movies or music. You can be opinion based. But when you're talking about real life issues, you should bring some form of facts to the conversation, and people should be able to join the conversation and push the conversation forward, but being fact based. If your opinion is based off of facts, then your opinion is strong. If your opinion is based off of your feelings, then you're just an opinionated person, right? And feelings change. And oftentimes opinions change because opinions are oftentimes rooted in convenience. So whatever is convenient for you at the time, that's what you're going to go with. But then when those circumstances change, now your opinion changes. And too often we see that in politics. But politics is something that's too important to be opinion based and feeling based. Politics should be fact based. So We definitely hope you guys found this live to be insightful, thought provoking. Follow if you on TikTok, you on our TikTok blocks. If you're in these YouTube streets, definitely subscribe, like, do all of the stuff you guys do. I'm just here to provide the content, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And even if you don't, I don't have a problem with people who don't. I appreciate all forms of feedback, and I'm not deterred or perturbed by somebody who may not necessarily agree. I'm okay. I can handle that. I can engage in that conversation with somebody who doesn't agree. I most certainly could do that. So, with all that being said and done, every single one of you, I thank you. I appreciate you. YouTube, TikTok, appreciate you guys. Hope you guys had a lovely evening rocking with us. I hope everything went well for y'all and y'all continue and y'all check out and we provide some more. And hopefully we catch you guys everywhere we look out. Y'all catch, y'all comment, check out some of our other things we got posted up there. And definitely all y'all have a good night. We out of here.